Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Kneon, not here with Geeky in this video. We're going to talk about Bluesky. We're going to talk about the New York Times saying that Bluesky is not going to last. They're saying it's not going to last. They say it's not a viable alternative to Twitter. Good luck with that. Other people have tried to replace Twitter and Facebook and they've failed. And yeah, it's really it's interesting to see the Times take this position. So we're going to take a look at that and then talk about how, again, the media is trying desperately to make Bluesky stick because they want old Twitter back. They want Twitter as it was in 2017 when they controlled it. They had it locked down. They controlled the narrative. And of course, Elon bought Twitter after they said that that could not happen. No one man can buy Twitter. He bought it, turned it into X. Now they're trying to say, well, X is on the decline. All these people are leaving Twitter and they're going to Bluesky. I think some people are, some of the most ardent far left users are, or maybe people that just don't want to deal with politics or don't want to deal with, all the upcharges on X. But for the most part, it looks like X is still like destroying the competition. I mean, they really are. Like, you got 25 million users on Bluesky, and they're having some problems too. They're having problems with their moderation now. They're talking about kicking people off the platform for having what they're calling anti-trans views. And if they had their way, if Twitter was still in charge of X, I guess, or if the old guard were still in charge of the site formerly known as X, I think J.K. Rowling would have been tossed out on her ear as well. I mean, they got rid of a sitting president, for God's sake. So they want an echo chamber. They want a safe space. And if that's what you're looking for, fantastic. Actually, it's weird when I first started going to, because I do have a Bluesky account. I don't really use it very much, but at first, like if you log into Bluesky and you don't have anybody that you follow, it's going to be almost all politics now. That's not how it was a year ago, but like a lot of the people that I followed or follow me are from the comic book community or the art community, having worked in comics for a number of years. And my timeline's not that bad. I'm going to be honest. It really isn't now. Most people are just posting art. And, I'm not going to go whack in the beehive over there if I don't have to. Some people are going over there just to troll. I'm like, you know what? Let them have it. I think it's going to be like, remember when Tumblr got rid of the porn and they said it was unsafe for Tumblr to get rid of porn because it was going to hurt marginalized individuals. So instead they set up this other place called Pillow Fort. Remember Pillow Fort, the safest safe space ever? Well, that didn't last very long either. I think it's still around, but I don't think anybody uses it. Remember Mastodon? That was supposed to be the alternative to Twitter as well, and nobody could figure out how to use it. So let's talk about this. Again, this is coming from the New York Times. If they're saying it, and this is the trusted media, it looks like it might be dead on arrival after the initial Trump bump. So before we get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. Check out Clownfish Minus, please. Check it out, clownfishminus.com. You can get early content. You can get podcasts. Again, another podcast coming this weekend. I got to get that up. And we're also mirroring that content out on Locals as well, clownfishtv.locals.com. We have merch for sale as well. That's where our merch is being sold now. So this comes from the New York Times Magazine essay. Another new Twitter. Good luck with that. Users are flocking to Bluesky, but every social media platform becomes a wasteland in the end. Oh, interesting. Recently, while talking to a friend who used to run a large media website, I casually mentioned the rise of Bluesky. More than 1 million users have deleted their X accounts and moved over to the upstart social media site, which they see as a healthier replacement. It's an echo chamber. I don't get it, my friend said, his voice and apparently his heart rate spiking. Why? You're free. After all, we had witnessed X's unraveling. What? X is actually doing pretty well. X is unraveling as it turned from a genuine community space into an often venomous one. Why should we imagine Bluesky would avoid that fate? And more to the point, why keep trying to recreate the internet of the past? Why not accept where we are and move on? That actually is a very good point. I think people want simpler times. I mean, geez, if I had my way, we'd go back to like 2005 internet, and we just stay there and just be like, you know what? Let's just stay right here. Maybe 2008, 2007, 2008, because we get early YouTube in there, and just be like, you know what? This is good. Let's put a pin in it. This is as good as it gets. Deal with it. But that's not the way the real world works, right? We've officially arrived at late stage social media. The services and platforms that delighted us and reshaped our lives when they began appearing a few decades ago have now reached total saturation and maturation. Call it malaise, call it Stockholm syndrome, call it whatever, but each time a new platform debuts, promising something better to help us connect better, share photos better, manage our lives better, many of us enthusiastically trek on over, only to be disappointed in the end. Maybe we need to just go back to having privately run message boards. Like, look, I don't think Bluesky is the solution to recreate the internet of old. Again, unless you want to have 2017 in a bottle, which a lot of the people over there, they want 2017 in a bottle. Who the hell would want that? I don't. 2017 Twitter was the worst. Well, no, the only thing worse than 2017 Twitter is 2018 Twitter. And the only thing worse than 2018 Twitter was 2020 Twitter. I'm just saying, like, it got, like, Twitter in the beginning, it wasn't bad. It legitimately was not a bad platform. I've been on there pretty much since the beginning, since like 2008, 2009. And it's only post-Trump 1.0 that it got absolutely insane. And it really, I think, came down to a lot of people migrating from Tumblr over to Twitter, because it's like the same group of people, the far left activists. They started out on LiveJournal. Basically, whatever's free, right? Whatever's free, that's where they go. So it was LiveJournal first, if I recall correctly. And then it went from LiveJournal to Tumblr. And then when Tumblr wouldn't allow them to post porn, because God forbid we can't post porn, then they went over to Twitter. And then when Elon bought Twitter, then what happened was they went over to Twitter, they infected Twitter, and Twitter already had this disproportionate amount of influence over media via journalists. And you know what I'm saying? It was a very, very weird situation because like normies don't use Twitter. They never really have. It's basically terminally online people. But I think you had this perfect storm of like these activists, these disaffected activists and shippers and fanfickers and fan flickers coming over from Tumblr, LiveJournal to Tumblr to Twitter. And then they were intermingling with the journalists, and then they were intermingling with like community managers, and they were intermingling with stan culture, all the K-pop stans. So they actually picked up. So what happened was, and this is just a theory on my part, but I think a lot of the people started picking up a lot of the very devious tactics that these K-pop stans were using to deplatform people or call people out or get things trending. And that included, a bunch of sock puppet accounts and stan accounts and attack accounts and all this craziness. And then it started being applied to the pop culture space, to comic books and movies and Star Wars and video games and all that. And it just became a huge shit show. Like Woodstock. Okay, it's like a really nerdy, messy, disgusting Woodstock, right? Where all the kids are sliding around in the mud. That's what Twitter was before Elon bought it. So here we have, repeating a lot of the same things here. Since Musk took over, the volume of hateful slurs directed at Black, Jewish, trans, and queer people has soared from any Musk's close alignment with Trump was the final straw. But they said the history of the internet's littered with virtual headstones of services that rose and faded as the tides of attention and money came and went. Remember Turntable FM? No, actually. Foursquare? Yes. Versus? Kind of. Remember MySpace? For a lot of people, MySpace was the internet. And Facebook, I mean, if any platform is end stage right now, I'd say it's Facebook. Like, it's being held together with duct tape and popsicle sticks. It does not work. Half the time, nothing works. It just feels like 10 different websites just kind of, grafted together like human centipede. It's awful. But it said people rightfully see Musk's X as emblematic of the overreach of our technocracy. Technocracy. Technocrass. That should be a website, Technocrass. And the site's devolution into bot chatter, nonsensical spam, low-grade advertising, and pop crave alerts as a harbinger of the era to come. Then just get off the internet, dude. Get off the internet. Touch grass, as they like to say. They said, to some degree, I understand what the defectors are searching for. Going to Bluesky, I spent a lot of my life on the internet and most of my career writing about it. The first time I went online in the 90s, it was electric. Gotcha beat, dude. I was online in 1989. It was called Prodigy. And the disc came with our Sears computer. But I digress. As a child, I would sneak out into my bedroom to use the family computer and log on to AOL chat rooms. The sheer depth and velocity of conversations amazed me. Suddenly, I had a portal to explore new avenues of thought and identity. That's the problem, right? That held the potential to radically expand my own. I've been chasing that dopamine high in the halls of Black Planet, Tumblr, Instagram, and TikTok ever since. The kinship, profundity, and brilliance of Black Twitter alone was enough reason to keep trying. So this guy's a black guy. I take it he's a black guy. Actually, it'd be very weird if he wasn't. Wouldn't that be weird? Wouldn't that be very weird? They said, that early optimism masked the inner machinations of Silicon Valley. After all, the idea of an online utopia is what has been marketed to us since the earliest days of the internet's formation. See, you weren't on the internet early enough. Like, people used to fight on the internet on Usenet, and they used to fight, like, once you leave the confines of AOL, it was the Wild West, my dude. It was, anyway. At its best, X was enchanting. It offered new forms of storytelling and memes, windows into social justice movements, fascinating rabbit holes of academia and theory, razor-sharp media criticism, nostalgic spirals, unparalleled humor, rich repositories of knowledge and real-world friendships. Oh, God. Of course, there was always the daily drama, cultural analysis, and main character energy that provide much of the appeal and entertainment. Yeah, the drama was off the charts. I mean, there always was some drama on Twitter, but it really... end stage Twitter before Elon bought it. It was disgusting. It was like the most, like, if I wanted that kind of garbage, I would go to like Resetera, or I'd go to the worst Reddit forum subreddit out there, or I would go to Tumblr, and I didn't lurk in any of those places. And to see it encroach on Twitter, I was pissed. I was actually pissed. I actually quit a couple times. I'm like, God, I can't stand this place. And it went unchecked because the people in charge agreed with the activists. They thought it was funny. They thought it was funny to have people be harassed. I mean, you were allowed to harass on one side of the aisle. You're not allowed to harass on the other at all. You weren't even allowed. I mean, really, the straw that broke the camel's back for me was like, during the pandemic, you were not allowed to question anything. You were not allowed to question anything, or all these random accounts would come out of nowhere and be like, well, you better watch yourself. You better not say you don't think the vax works very well, because you're not allowed to say that. You're not allowed to say that. And it was just, the censorship was off the charts. It was a very dystopian site for me. This guy's like, yeah, it was great. I'm like, no, it really wasn't. Like, I don't want the pendulum to swing too far the other direction. I don't want X to turn into like, 8chan or something, but it really was not a good place to post. You could not post anything without offending somebody in 2020, especially. But it's talking about how Facebook is basically dying too. Talking about the early internet. Talking about basically, God, this is just, okay. So the whole thing here is that every social media site eventually turns to shit. So we get all, and this is a very lengthy article, by the way. So you get all the way to the end here. A middle oracle, Bluesky may very well turn out to be the place that people are craving. It has a gentle, low-stakes feel to it. Its early era has been marked by cordial interactions. Not really. Not really. I mean, like I said, my version of Bluesky now, because I don't really interact with a lot of people, isn't terrible. It's mostly people who followed me on Twitter, probably from my previous comic book career, because a lot of these people I know are more left-wing. I was more left-wing not too long ago, right? I was part of the group. But you know, I don't post stuff over there that's going to cause problems. I don't post over there at all, really. I'm just there to observe. But if you, again, Geeky went to sign up for an account, and I was invited. I had an invite like a year ago when it first started. I had an invite pretty quick. I actually applied and I got within a week or two. But she went over there. She signed up for a new account, and like all the stuff on the front page for her was all politics, all far left politics. And they were like openly calling for violence against people. They were like, you know, hell, they were dogpiling Rob Reiner. Rob Reiner, meathead, goes over there and he gets dogpiled. I mean, seriously, it literally is the worst of Twitter 2017, in my opinion. So yeah, he says no service will save us. We shouldn't expect it to. The very nature of technology is ephemeral, and it all has its own half-life, an invisible rate of decay that turns any platform into a wasteland. The key is remembering that the devolution into instability is right around the corner, so we should get the most out of it while we can. Yeah, Foggy Phil, he's actually not wrong. He said there was nothing really magical about Twitter when it first started, so why should we crown the one social media platform to rule them all? Why did we say that did we say we all have to stay on Vine, reject TikTok? Well, we didn't have a choice because Vine was gone before TikTok was a thing, I think. Or stay on Skype and get rid of Zoom. Better products come out into the marketplace all the time. Yeah. Just because some journalists have too much inertia to change their Twitter habit doesn't mean the rest of us have to do that. Yeah, it's pretty much what they're doing. They're just trying to recreate Twitter, but Twitter when they controlled it. To those ever hopeful early adopters of the next more, better, kinder, gentler social media wellspring, be ye forewarned that the huge, opulent Vegas casinos are not built with house losses. As with gambling, so with social media, the only way to win is to not play. Missing the forest for the trees, this guy says. The internet developed as a creature of academic institutions. That's, yeah, that's pretty fair. Military too. First social network for exchange of information and shared interests, both serious and entertainment, was Usenet. Yes. Run decentralized off servers at university computers, no profit, no post size limits, moderation if you want it, organized by subject matter, made by and for academia. At the same time, the modem chat board was created, fee for service, strictly non-academic, chaotic, AOL, Comcast, etc. Then business found Usenet. AOL gave money to some universities, and the unwashed in their spam found Usenet. AOLers had discovered the internet. Amazon got start thanks to spam, but the cost of the first functioning and useful social network. Dorsey has a point. Those looking for a spam-free exchange of useful information will be betrayed by the profit motive. Those looking for a good time need their own service. One town square is not sufficient. Let the bros keep X. The rest of us have other uses for an information network. What is, okay, so he is correct. And basically the reason that early internet adopters were nerdy is because they were, college. A lot of them were college. A lot of them worked, computer sciences, programming, whatever. And, we had the geeks. So this is where all the geek culture stuff came from, the Dungeons and Dragons and the comic book, Usenet and all that, because they were also interested in geek stuff. So, I think that you can always create your own space and you can, okay. So yeah, you theoretically you can create your own space, but we know now that the internet being the way that it is right now, and that everyone is connected and all these groups are connected, even if people don't necessarily want to be connected, means that even if you try to go start your own thing somewhere else, if somebody finds it, they'll try to get you shut down. They'll try to, shut your host down. If you're, you know what I'm saying? Like it's crazy because you can't just have your own forum or your own website and just do your own thing anymore. At least not on the legit www. So, and then if you're using Messenger or you're using chat tools or whatever that are corporate owned, then they can just poke around in your messages all the time. You know what I'm saying? So it really is a very different internet. And a lot of it is, it comes down to corporatism. It's not really, I don't think it's because people are legitimately offended by the things that people post. It's more like our advertisers aren't happy with it, and or we want to control the narrative, and or we just want you to know that we've got our boot on your neck and you better play ball. I mean, hell, we posted, I know I brought the story up before, even on our own websites, we posted some photos of leaked toys from a message board. I don't even think we hosted them. I think the image was actually embedded, and it was Mattel. And Mattel actually reached out to our host and took the whole website down until we removed those images. And so after that, we actually moved all of our hosting to the Netherlands. So they couldn't do that. Like all of our websites are hosted offshore now. But yeah, it's crazy. Like you don't really have your own space anymore. It doesn't matter. You know, you can try, but you don't. So going back to Bluesky, and this is all about control. Journos were in charge. Activists were in charge in 2017, 2018. They want that again, right? And they're going to do whatever they can do. They're going to, write the headlines to try to convince people that Bluesky is where it's at. But I don't think normie people are going to Bluesky. I really don't. I think more normies now are going to X, partially because of the election. But I'm not feeling like I go Bluesky and I'm like, I don't see normal people. I see like everybody that I've interacted with or who's following me or whatever, that like they work in the industry. I'm not seeing any normal, like, hey, I'm Susan from Georgia and I like comic books, so I joined Bluesky to follow comic book creators. I'm not seeing that. I'm really not seeing that at all. I'm seeing people that work in the industry or want to work in the industry. So this has come from TechCrunch. Bluesky's at a crossroads as users petition to ban Jesse Singal over anti-trans views and harassment. So this is writer and podcast host Jesse Singal. So is it wrong of me? I don't know who the hell this person is. Should I know who this person is? Is this like, are they like a big deal? I don't want to, Wikipedia. Should I know who this person is? I don't know who this person is. So if you do, clue me in the comments. I'm too lazy to look it up. I just know podcaster. Okay. Social sciences, Atlantic. So yeah, they're saying Jesse is anti-trans. I cannot verify that, but Jesse joined Bluesky 12 days ago. To the horror of much of the Bluesky community, Singal has been cataloged by GLAAD's Accountability Project. That's a thing. For his writings on transgender issues and other matters. GLAAD catalogs anti-LGBTQ rhetoric and discriminatory actions of politicians, commentators, organization heads, religious leaders, and legal figures who have used their platforms to spread misinformation and harm to LGBTQ people. He's now the most blocked user on the social network, and user outrage over his participation on the platform is growing. People are demanding that Bluesky take a stand. It's either a place that promises it won't host bad actors, or it's a place that promises not to inflate the reach of bad actors thanks to its various moderation tools. It can't be both. Well, boy, this is the same dilemma that Twitter ran into, isn't it? Do we censor the people we don't like? Do we let them run rampant? Do we deboost them? Do we shadow ban them and say, we've got plausible deniability? Like, yeah, technically you're allowed to post on the platform, just nobody's going to see it. You're screaming into a void. And so you start booting people off that you don't agree with, and then eventually they just start moving the goalpost, don't they? Right? I mean, again, remember, Twitter banned a sitting president. Granted, social media hasn't been around for a very long time or anything, but can you imagine if back in the day, 40s or 50s, they're just like, you know what, we don't like Harry Truman. We're not gonna run any stories on Harry Truman. We're not gonna quote Harry Truman, because we don't like him. We personally do not agree with him. We're going to pretend he's not the president of the United States. We're just going to pretend he's not the president. Yeah, we're just going to write around him. You know, it's completely unprecedented. I mean, it's crazy, this whole thing. You know, now they're talking about all the marginalized users who flocked there because of Musk. And many in the community who escaped Twitter now feel their Bluesky experience is at risk because of Singles joining as a high-profile user. He brings a network of followers with him, which could lead to increased harassment. Yeah, so, I mean, they're going to run into the same problems, aren't they? And they don't have much of a moderation team, but there is a site out there we talked about that they're actually keeping track of who's getting flagged the most and who are the most, the most downvoted or the most, flagged accounts, who's doing the most flagging. And it's just turned into one big narc fest over there. Like, I can't speak to this guy. I have no idea who he is. I really have no idea who he is. I don't really care. There's a lot of podcasters out there I've never heard of. And they're like getting these like multi-million-dollar deals from Spotify. I'm like, where's my multi-million-dollar deal? Spotify? Where's mine? We're just not spicy enough. That's the problem. We're too boring. We're too boring to get a multi-million-dollar podcast deal. But like, yeah, I mean, they're going to run into problems, right? But here's the thing. They're all trying to say that X is failing miserably. And it's actually not. It's actually, they did get rid of a lot of bots. They are getting a lot of their advertisers back, which I think is very interesting, that they're going to X and they're not going to Twitch. And they're all trying to be like, read it and weep, Elon. Suck it, Elon. You're losing, Elon. Over the past few months, traffic to the site formerly known as Twitter has taken a nosedive. As competitors like Bluesky and Threads continue to bring in more and more users. Yeah, but they're nowhere near. Like, oh my God, guys. Massive nosedive here. We're down to only 586 million users. Damn, guys, only. Well, traffic rose from September to October, which makes sense given the fever pitch of the election. It took a swim in November itself, when you would have expected to see it overrun with political news and analysis of the election. No, it actually did really well in November. Numbers are reflecting a repeated mass exodus from X. Everybody's leaving X to go to Bluesky. Well, actually, Bluesky isn't doing too great. I mean, it's been, I think it got its big bump. I think all the people that wanted to leave, which is so weird, they waited until the election to leave. Elon bought the platform 2 years ago. But yeah, they're up to like 25 million users right now. I don't know. It looks like more. Is that more? Is almost 600 million more than 25 million? I feel like it is. I feel like that's a significantly larger number, and they don't really have much to worry about. But yeah, they're talking. They're going to possibly expand into mail and everything else too, like Google. I mean, that's the only thing I really worry about is I understand they're trying to make X an everything app, but that's kind of how we got into problems with AOL. That's how we got into problems with MySpace. That's how we got into problems with Facebook. That's how we got into problems with Google. Right now, Google flipped the switch and they decided they didn't want to be just a search engine anymore. They wanted to be everybody's everything, right? And because they're everybody's everything, it's like it's a Google world. Everybody's using them for search. Everybody's using them for email and even hosting. And it's like we gave them the power to have power over us. And I don't think any social media platform, any corporate-owned entity should have that kind of power over us. I mean, I'm a big advocate for a decentralized internet. It's just almost impossible to do that now. And it's almost impossible to find people that are kind of like off the grid, so to speak. So good luck with that. But yeah, I just think it's really interesting to look and see what people are. God, this is a long article, dude. See what people are saying about Bluesky. They're trying very hard to make it happen. Interesting stuff. I'm going to wrap it up, guys. Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants. We'll talk later.